lost sound. Oh, there it comes back. For a second there, I literally lost sound.
Yeah, I did too.
That's
You
because there
might.
was no sound on that part of the episode.
Okay.
I
Okay.
just threw that together quick. Like I said, I'm going to
No,
revamp some
that's
things.
fine. That's fine. Yeah, I was looking for Full Moon Paranormal here in Facebook.
Did you find
Looking
us?
for you there, Nicole.
Did you find us?
Oh, I got Full Moon Paranormal Society of Northern California.
Hmm.
Then I got the first one on the list is Full Moon Paranormal. It looks like it's got a picture of like a cathedral or something.
Yeah, like it's a crypt. Like
Okay,
a,
crypt. Yeah.
yep, that's
Okay,
us.
that's you. All right, I'll
That's
click
us.
on
Mm-hmm.
that. Awesome. There we go. I found you. All right. So, sorry. And like I said, I'm not completely with it this afternoon because my freaking head is killing me. It sucks, I go in and work, come home, sit for a few minutes, and then I start getting a headache. And for no daggum reason. Anyway, so Nicole, um, I looked you up, found you here, got your crypt going. I see you as the first person in the picture, and then you got three others behind you.
Yep, we have Susan, we have Lisa, and the other Lisa. So
Okay, so
there's
you
four of
have
us.
two Lisas and Susan.
Yep, two Lisas and a Susan.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, a
So
little.
well, if you're referring to either one, I would suppose you would refer to them as Lisa and the last initial, and
Yeah, but
or
when we
have
get
one Lisa A, Lisa B.
yep, we get a lot of responses on like the spirit box and things that come through, and it's like Lisa, and we're like, which one?
Yeah. Which Lisa are you talking about, or talking to, or?
Yep. Can you clarify?
Please clarify. We need to hear this. So, when did you guys get established?
So Full Moon was started in 2021. So still relatively young in the paranormal field. But
Okay.
we've all been doing it for a long time. We just haven't come together as a team until then.
Okay. So your team
Mm-hmm.
connected in 2021,
Yep.
but each one of you individually has been doing this for a while. Then.
Yeah, I think everybody's pretty much had an interest in the paranormal
Cool.
since they were very young. I know I have. Susan grew up having experiences in her home. Lisa has had experiences. So everybody's been doing it for a while. It was just, about finding the right people to work with.
Cool. Yeah, it is nice to be able to find the right people that would actually go and do this stuff with you and everything. I mean, it's exciting. It's fun. It's interesting what you can find. So, unfortunately, we don't have the other three on with us, but we got you. So, tell me, what got you interested in? Right about when did you get an interest in the paranormal?
It is, I couldn't even tell you because it's literally been as long as I can remember, as far back as I can go. I've been interested in the paranormal. I would read every book I could get my hands on, watch every, the History Channel and Travel Channel used to do those documentaries before it
Yep.
turned into basically all paranormal all the time. There was like occasional specials. I'd watch those. I asked my parents to bring me to Salem for Halloween every year, do like the ghost hunts and everything there. So it's been like a
That's cool.
lifelong thing.
That's pretty cool. So, what kind of places do you guys do you like to investigate?
I say that I would like investigate a dumpster if it was haunted. I would go anywhere.
Okay, so what's your
We
favorite
really,
to go
we
to?
really like to hit the places that aren't overly investigated. You know, the places that are really known for paranormal activity. They're fun and they're really interesting, but we love getting into places that have never been investigated before. Because I kind of feel like those spirits, they have a story and they want to get that out there. They want to communicate,
Mm-hmm.
and they haven't really had that opportunity.
I see.
Mhm.
So, what are some of the places that you've been?
We've been to recently. We did the Walk Hill River Center for the Arts, which is the old Patchett House in Montgomery, New York. It has a really interesting history. It was a stop. It was a stagecoach stop and tavern back in the day
Okay.
before the Patchetts bought it and made it a family home. After the last Patchett family member passed, it was a funeral home, and there's still the embalming sinks down in the basement, so that's really cool.
Oh, that is cool.
Hmm. And the funeral director kind of mysteriously vanished after a year or two there. Nobody really knows where he went.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So a nice little mystery too.
Hmm. Yep, the house sat vacant for a while before the Wallkill River Art School took it over and turned it into, it's now like a gallery. They have some offices upstairs. They host art classes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, we've got a lot of like varied activity from that too, because you have back when it was a tavern, you have the Patchett family, you have
Mm-hmm.
we've encountered some spirits that supposedly were from the time where it was sitting vacant. Some homeless people kind of wandered in. So a lot of layers there.
Yeah, there's a lot of history in buildings like that,
Yeah.
and I absolutely love the history of the buildings. In fact, the house that I live in was built in 1900,
Oh wow.
and I do have activity here um, from day one when I moved in. There's been activity.
See, mine was built
So
in the late 80s, but I have activity here. So I think it's the land and the
it
property.
could be the land.
Next door used to be an old like harness racing track, and
Interesting.
the right you look out my window and that would have been where the grandstands were. And there was a lot of KKK activity
Oh
in
wow.
this
Where are
area.
you located?
I'm in Walden,
Like what
in New
state?
York, in the Hudson Valley.
The Hudson
Oh,
Valley is that
a
more
lot of
central or
KK,
is that upper New York?
a lot
It's
of
about
KK, a lot of that activity in New York. I mean, wow, that goes to show you that their spread went a lot further than just the South where they started.
yeah, it was back in like the 50s and 60s, I think, where it was really big in this town. They had the rallies and everything, burning crosses, and
Hmm.
crazy. We're about an hour and a half up from like north from New York City.
Okay, so you're more centralized in the state of New York. Then.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. You know, I had the I don't know if you can call it a privilege to deliver 4 crates
Oh,
down to
here we go.
5th and 51st Avenue, downtown Manhattan, and I was in a big 26-foot straight truck.
Oh God. That's
And
scarier than any haunted place I've ever been.
I'm I did it because it was something that I wanted to experience because I'd never been to New York. I'll never do it again though.
I don't drive in the city. Never have,
I
never will.
no well yeah. I actually had a taxi driver and I was following the law, the rules of the road. I was stopped at a red light. I had a taxi driver literally whip out, pass me, honk, flip me off, and run the red light.
That reminds me of have you seen Elf? The yellow ones don't stop.
Yeah, it was yellow. It was one of the yellow cabs.
Yep, they don't stop.
Yep.
That's one place I wouldn't want to drive cab. Yeah.
No.
You know, I've watched Cash Cab enough to know that, yeah, I don't think so. Madison was bad enough.
You know, I was born and raised California, so all the San Joaquin Valley area, the mountains that are getting 12 feet of snow this year, this few days here, and the coastal region. That was all my stomping grounds out there. So that's where I started with the paranormal stuff, and that was back when I was about 13, 14, something in that area. So.
Is there a lot of historic places out there? Because I find that, like in Hudson Valley, we're very spoiled because everything here is pretty old.
No, the way this nation is, and the way it all runs is East Coast to West Coast. East Coast is where all of your aged and historical older buildings, land, everything is at. And then the further to the West Coast you get, or West Coast you get, closer to California in that area, it's newer. It's not as old. You still have the gold rush times of the 1800s in California. What's that, Joe?
The Wild West.
Well, yeah, the West was very wild. And
well, like.
But see, the whole thing about California, though. But see, the whole thing about California, you got to remember, California, before the United States became the United States and everything got moved out, everybody started getting out there. California was actually part of Mexico, just like New Mexico was, just like Texas was, just like Arizona was, and then parts of Nevada. They were all part of Mexico, and we, our forefathers and our founders, they're the ones that actually took that land from the Mexicans. So California, that's why in California you have a rich history from the Hispanic part of it. You don't have most of the Native Americans that were left in California during the time I was there growing up. They had background in the Hispanic heritage. So, but yeah, you still have a lot of historical history out there too. A lot of crazy crap is going on out there.
Yeah, we're lucky to be in this area. We have a lot of restaurants even that are from like the 1700s. I mean, not a lot, but a decent amount that you can go to from that were around during Revolutionary times.
Oh, that would be cool.
Mm-hmm.
I'd just be afraid to go anywhere near New York. And it's not because of the paranormal. It's just because of the way things are nowadays.
New York's not bad, Joe. What's bad?
Too many people.
No.
Too many people in such a small area.
No, look at New York. Most of the population of New York is gathered in that one area down there called New York City.
Yep. Come upstate a little bit.
You go upstate. It looks like Wisconsin. I'm serious. I have been to upper state New York on deliveries too. I actually had to drive through upper state New York to get up to I think it was up to Maine that we went to. And yeah, this is years ago. So, but the only reason I said okay, I'd like to experience going to New York City, Manhattan Island, was because I'd never been. I wanted to. That was a bucket list thing.
No, very low on my bucket list.
And I won't ever do it again.
Came, you saw. Never coming
back. I saw. I conquered at the time, and I am not gonna ever drive on that island again. I agree with you. I will never drive on that island again.
Lock me in like the darkest basement full of crazy paranormal activity. No problem. Drive in New York City? Nope.
Nope. Yeah, I wasn't. Where I dropped at, it was a brand new Louis Vuitton they were putting in, and I was not that far away from the park there. Um,
Central Park?
yeah, so thank you. You know, yeah, I wasn't too far away from Central Park,
Yeah, so right in the busy.
but it was sure a chore trying to find my way down to where I needed to be, and I wound up getting on that expressway that runs next to the river that you're not supposed to have trucks on.
Oh.
I somehow got on that. This was late at night. Like I had to be there at like 9 o'clock at night. So this was already sundown, late at night, and I wound up getting myself turned around pretty good. That was one time it was kind of weird because I don't usually get turned around.
Not the place you want to do it either.
No, definitely not.
Because there's no slowing down. You know, most places you can kind of like slow down, get your bearings. Nope, not there.
Not there.
You just got to keep going.
And then once I got out of there, I talked to the person that I was in contact with for the delivery, and I asked her. I said, "How do I get out of this joint?" Easiest way. She just said, "Well, you go over here, go to this street, and you go straight up, and it'll take you right to your on ramp to the George Wash, and then take you back over to Jersey." Okay. So that's exactly what I did. It was an experience. It was a huge experience. And tell you honestly, I would love to be able to actually go down to some of the buildings and hotels, the old hotels down in the cities. I'd love to actually be able to go back there, not drive, but actually go and do some investigating in some of those older hotels. I bet there's all kinds of weird stuff going on down there.
Yeah, there's tons of places in the city that are really old and historic, and we don't really think about it because everything's so shiny and new. But there's some beautiful architecture, a lot of history.
Well, yeah. Look at the Empire State Building. What's that, Joe?
The mob history where it all started. I mean,
yeah, there's a lot of mob history in New York as well.
In New York. I mean, there is a actual, if I'm not mistaken, an area that they call Little Italy, somewhere around there.
Greenwich Village.
That's might have been what they called it back then. But you think about all that mob history.
Yeah, and then that right there, the kind of things that the mob was involved in, and also the type of deaths that they cause. That's a releases a type of energy that will actually imprint and stay around.
Yeah, sure. There's the Merchant House Museum that's in the city. That's, I think, from the early 1800s, if I'm not mistaken. That's supposed to be really haunted, and they've preserved that really well.
Cool. Do they do any kind of tours or anything like that in there?
I think they do tours, and like you can go visit. I'm not sure about the whole paranormal aspect, but we've spoken to a person who works there, and there's definitely a lot of activity. It's on the list to go do an investigation there.
Okay, have you ever done anything like cemeteries? Have you ever went into do cemeteries?
Yeah, we do cemeteries a lot, actually, because it's one of the easiest places. If you're driving around, and you see an old cemetery, you can just go. You don't have to make arrangements. You don't have to ask permission, as long as it's during public hours and you're not doing something super weird. Mm-hmm. We do every October. We do haunted cemetery tours in Washingtonville. as part of their Halloween event, where we go and there's a really cool history of some of these graves and these people who lived in this town. And we have a historian, and she talks a little bit about the history, and then we do a little investigating at each stop.
That's cool. That's cool. In your time of doing all this stuff, have you caught any good evidence?
I think so. I mean, it really depends on what you're counting as evidence. Like, it's definitely something anomalous. My favorite is we were at someone's office. It's now an office building, but it used to be an old school in Milford, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And she was having, the woman whose office it was went in, and she was doing something, and all of a sudden the door starts rattling. Like, the blinds on the door were visibly shaking. And so she called us out. We were investigating. And I set a REM pod up, like a trigger REM pod, up on the door. And it was going off. So I'm filming this REM pod going off. And you see a shadow walk up to the door and completely block out the shades. And it's so solid that I think it's a real person, and I stopped filming. But so I have like a 2-second clip of this shadow approaching the door and standing there before I'm an idiot and turned it off and was like, oh, that's a person. It was not a person.
So but what caused you to actually turn it off? Because I thought it was a person?
Because I thought it was a person. I was like, oh, that's why it's going off. There's someone walking up to the door.
Okay.
I still think
myself in a situation like that, I think I would have left the camera running.
Yeah.
Yeah, we try. We have several cameras, so we try to leave them. We try to put one stationary and let it run all night.
Well, that's just it. If it was a real person, you can always edit that out later.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. You can edit it so it's not.
It's easier to take a portion of the video out of there than it is to kind of mash a bunch of shit together.
Yeah, for sure. And now we have body cams, so it's always recording.
Yep, we got those too.
We did that too.
Mm-hmm.
We learned the hard way about body cams.
Yeah, one of the investigations that we went on, Joe and the guy that got us in there, they were headed out to have a cigarette in this hallway that they had to walk down. There's 3 lights that are hooked up to one. They're hooked up together completely to one switch. So if the switch gets flipped, all 3 lights come on at the exact same time. The middle light flickered on and off, and the other 2 lights didn't do anything. And they seen it, and they didn't have camera or anything.
Because I didn't have a camera or nothing with us. And I'm like, thank God I wasn't alone, because they wouldn't believe me. They would have thought I was nuts.
Oh, we already think you're nuts.
Tell you whatever. But we sat there even before we went outside to have a smoke. We sat there and we bumped the wall because you could see where
they tried to debunk it. They tried to do everything.
They were trying to figure out what may have caused that light to flicker, and couldn't figure it out.
Well, the funny thing is, too, my daughter was on that investigation with us, and Joe and myself and my daughter, we went down to the seating area that was down next to the bar. The bar was closed up, but there was light switches so you could turn lights on and off in that area. The bar, for some reason, kept some lights on above the bar. So we're sitting there. We had the lights off. We're doing a EVP. We had thermal cameras and everything else. And once we were done, we made sure all the lights were off, and we went upstairs. Well, another group that was with us came, of the people that was with us, they came down and went into that area, and then they actually called back up to us and asked us if we had left the lights on down there. From the time we walked out up the stairs and they came down, those lights came back on.
Yeah, and there was nobody else in that building the rest of the night. It was
just us.
Lockdown, except for us. All that outside.
We were the only ones that had access.
All the doors that leaded to the outside were locked once we were in.
So
that's interesting.
So and on 3 different pieces of equipment, 2 different cameras, and then a voice recorder, I actually caught the exact same thing, which was a sounded like a whistle.
Mhm.
Sounded like
I love
someone
when that happens.
whistle, and like trailed off. Started whistling and then trailed it off.
Yeah, but
But the
when
thing is, when that happened, it happened whenever one of the people that was with us said, asked the entities or whatever to show themselves and come by or come over because he has a piece of pizza for them. And it was right after that, all
Spirits
of a
love
sudden,
pizza.
yeah, after that, it's like on all 3, on 2 cameras and the audio, on the voice recorder.
well
I
that
caught that.
building was very active when we were there. I guess we were lucky.
Mhm.
I mean, early on, we were just sitting around in the one bar room area where it's just a small room, and there was a bathroom on the one side opposites, just right up against the one hall, right there.
Where the seating was,
And water
there was a
came on.
bathroom
We
in
heard
the.
water come on while we were there, and they got up quick. Water wasn't on, but the sink was wet.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Well, the other group, the other lead person from the other group that was with us, his first reaction was because it wasn't the standard industrial toilet that you'd find in a bathroom. This one had the tank on it, and sometimes these tanks, it'll leak a little bit of water into the bowl, and then that'll cause it to cause the float to drop enough to turn the water on to refill the tank. That was his thought.
Okay.
It didn't sound that way to me. It sounded like somebody literally turned the water on. And I was the first one to catch it. I was the first one to hear it. And but when we jumped up, he was the first one in the bathroom. His first reaction, pull the top off the tank and look.
Hmm.
And normally there'd be bubbles or movement of the water. There was none. My first reaction, I went over to the sink and I was looking, and I rubbed my finger around the drain, and there was cold water there. And there shouldn't have been because nobody used that bathroom that night until after that happened.
Do you find that like it's always bathrooms? For some reason, everywhere we go, like the bathrooms get a vibe, and there's always stuff going on in the bathroom.
Okay, I'll give you an idea of the possibility why. Because there's water in that bathroom, and water will it will conduct that energy that the spirits use. So turning that water faucet on could have gave it the energy it needed to do something else that it wanted to do.
That's a good point.
Hmm. Because flowing water creates and does create energy as well. So that's just a theory of mine.
Yeah. I mean, that would explain it, but it does always seem to be creepy bathrooms or stuff happening in bathrooms. We went in one event, and this guy did not believe he was there with his wife, was not into it at all, and he went into the bathroom away, and he comes out. He's like, "Are you effing with me? Are you effing with me? Who did that?" Apparently, something or somebody was slamming on the door when he was in there.
See, that's the kind of stuff that I love.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever people that are skeptics have something happen to them that they can't explain, I absolutely love that
That was a
because
wild night.
for me, that authenticates a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they already
So,
have it in their mind that this is not happening, this is not real. Where somebody who's very, very into the paranormal and, goes on these investigations all the time, they're going to think everything's paranormal. They want to believe, like,
well,
X-Files.
yeah.
Hmm.
See, and I do. I want to believe. I have beliefs of all kinds of weird stuff that may be out there.
But some people
But
make it hard for you to believe, because of all the hoaxes out there and
yeah,
people
yeah,
wanting the
all
15
all the
minute
setups.
routine.
Yeah,
I don't mean to interrupt you, Mark, but I got a question. Just
no, go ahead.
because she's from New York, have you ever thought about going or been to the Amityville house?
No, because it's a private house now.
Oh,
So yeah, it's somebody bought the house and they changed, those windows
Hmm.
that look like eyes. They changed the windows so it doesn't even look the same
Yeah,
anymore.
the signature windows from the Amityville house or the
no,
Amity house.
So you can
no,
drive by it and you can like kind of walk up on like the sidewalk, but I'm not going all the way to
right.
Amityville to look at a
That's
house.
one of those. Now here's my view on that house.
Hmm.
Okay, from all the research I've done and heard about it, that's one of those ones that probably might have been an historical place for paranormal people if it wasn't for George Lutz and his family or whatever. Because when the Lutz took it over and they created all those far-fetched stories, and if you dug deep enough, it was all about the true story of that house has enough. I mean, the true story about that house is actually scarier than the stuff they made up for the movie. Where the guy killed his family in cold blood, and
Yeah,
then
and the demon made him do it.
he changed the story so many times. And he shot them all while they were in bed sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
Boom, 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 boom. And the guy was a lunatic, and he right up to the day he died in prison, he denied doing it.
I don't know. It's one of those things like we weren't there, we don't know what happened, but there's a lot of versions of the story.
Right.
But I think that happens too when like film and TV gets involved in all these documentaries, and
Yep.
we each take like a little different spin on it. So by the end, you have to kind of pare down what actually happened and get rid of all the sensationalism and all the
Well,
BS.
I think the guy was nuts because he sure did act like it when they did those prison interviews with him before he passed away. And to kill your family in cold blood like that, you got to be a psychopath.
Oh yeah.
And that's just basic psychology 101, But the horrific part of that could leave enough energy in that house to create things to happen, but not as much as what the Lutzes and their attorneys did.
Well, supposedly the family that's there now has had nothing. Nothing happened.
Yeah, there's like several families that's been there after George Lutz and that family that bought the house after that. They're the ones that made up the story. And glorified it. And with their attorney, there was books made, movies made, and stuff on their stories. But everybody that's owned that house after that, nothing. Or those minor, tiny little things happen, and they don't even notice it. Like a cupboard door opening or something.
So you kind of wonder what kind of person buys the Amityville horror house. Like, if I was house hunting, that wouldn't be on my list. I mean, it's a famous house. The history. I wouldn't want to live there.
Well, exactly. You do maybe if you're looking into the history of the houses, you probably do know the house or know the history.
Yeah.
But still, again, who's to say you're going to have any kind of activity?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
there's been quite a few families after the Lutzes that's owned the house that's had nothing happen to them while they lived there. Most
Yeah.
of them moved because of being bugged by people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
People
one
are
you
always
didn't
worse
look
than
in
the
the
ghosts.
house, or yeah,
People are terrible.
But I'm thinking, like, maybe the kind of person who would buy that house isn't the kind of person who's open to paranormal activity to begin with. They're very closed off because
That's
if
a
you're
possibility.
sensitive, if you're, very into this, you're not going to just buy it and live in it with your family. You're going to maybe buy it
Right.
and turn it into kind of a paranormal attraction like they did with the Conjuring house.
right. Or Willow's Weep, or Weeping Willow, whatever the house is called in
Willow's
Indiana.
Weep.
Willow's Weep. Thank you.
Yeah. So maybe these people are just super closed down to it too, where they're not even going to notice it. Like you said, if a cupboard opens, they're just going to close it and be like, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are pretty close-minded to a lot of it. You know, I've since seen too much to not. I tend to believe that anything's possible. You know,
Yeah, I've experienced way too much
But is it
to
kind of like,
not
when you
believe.
buy a car and then you see that car everywhere on the road?
yeah, that
Yeah,
happens a lot.
With the paranormal,
Well,
like, those cars are still out there. You're just not noticing it because you're not looking for it.
yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. It's like I see the point there. It's like whenever I had my caliber, I didn't see a lot of them. I wasn't noticing a lot of
Mm-hmm.
them. After I bought it, then all of a sudden I start seeing calibers everywhere.
Yeah. Same when, yeah, the same when we did the Avenger or the truck we have now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. So once you have a personal experience or you like start looking into this, then you start seeing it more.
True. Yes. But again, because of all the experiences I've had in my past, I'm jaded to it all.
Yeah.
I'm one of the crazy people that if I went on an investigation with any group and something strange happened, or you seen a shadow, or you hear something, or a door opens and closes, or something like that. A lot of these groups that I've talked to and seen will say they'll kind of not sure about walking up and checking it out. Me, mm, I'll walk right up there. I'll talk to whoever it is. I'll open the door. If I
Or
see
you,
a shadow, I'll walk over to the shadow.
yeah, but
I
see, you hear a door open and stuff. You got to walk over there to see, okay, is there a breeze? You got to
Mhm.
look for the rational explanation. And if you can't find an explanation, well, then there's more unanswered questions.
well, that's that. Yeah. Do you guys try to debunk your own stuff?
We try to debunk everything.
Yeah.
I always say, like, you'll see us looking like crazy people at an investigation because we're sitting there like jumping up and down, like knocking on walls, trying to like
Yep.
everything to
Yep.
recreate what happened.
Yeah,
We got
that's a sign of a good investigator, is trying to debunk anything that you feel that you've caught, trying to debunk it.
we were at the Patchett house actually, not this past time, but previously, and the basement is where, like I said, the embalming sinks are. We were all up on the main floor, and we hear the basement door rattling. So we're checking for a breeze. We're trying to like recreate it. We have somebody, and I'm filming, and we're having somebody like walk around because old house. Sometimes if you step over here, it's gonna make something vibrate over here or rattle over here.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to recreate it, have people walk around. And we got on 2 different phones because we were recording the video. Get out. So we're trying to debunk one thing and we got something else.
Nice.
Mhm.
That happens
That's the fun.
too.
That's the fun part too.
Yep.
But
You never know.
I like debunking, especially when I'm watching stuff on TV too. You know, like some of those shows when they start watching. There was one real famously that took place that actually I got it before they did. I was sitting here, got it before they did, but they pretty much debunked the famous cryptid, the Ozark Howler,
They
on
debunked it.
TV. Yeah, they debunked it. They figured out that, because I mean, science ain't going to say it because they don't believe that this happens in all the felines in the world, But if it can happen in one, it can happen to do it all. That uh, pigmentation thing that causes them to be all black.
Mhm.
So the creature's been have this weird kind of childlike scream, and it's all black with like reddish eyes. Like, well, depending on a feline's eyes, or like dog's eyes,
Well,
night
Yeah.
the,
no,
hit them.
all nocturnal creatures have that red glow whenever a light
Right,
hits it.
Mhm.
right. Depending on the angle of the light, it could be red. Some of
Does it?
animals could be green.
No, no, it's very rare you find green. It's mostly red
Well,
and orange.
but I'm making a point. All right.
Uh-huh.
So, but that dark, where it causes the cat to be all black. Well, the bobcat has a very, very unique sound to it. It's not like any other feline out there, and I've heard it before. So I was like, bobcat, bobcat. Well, all these scientists saying, well, they saw a bobcat. The scat came back, bobcat. But they say, well, it can't be black. They don't come in all black. But they were describing, when these people described it and the sound, the experts said that the sound, that the audio that was captured, was bobcat. But
Hmm.
when you look at a bobcat, and if you see it like its shadows, it would have that kind of look that they were saying, where it had horns, because they've got this kind of spike on their ears,
Hmm.
you know. So
They
if you
have
see the
their
shadow,
ears.
they were saying that, when they see this thing, it had horns. No, that was just the bobcat's ears.
Yeah, they have a tuft of hair that sticks out
Yeah,
on the top of their ears.
right.
So
But it's kind of crazy that people wouldn't figure this out, because I search black bobcat and right there is a black bobcat. Like,
Well,
people
you
don't even
say,
try.
well, we've got one here. I'm in Wisconsin. I've lived here all my life. Until we started doing this, I believed in a lot of stuff, but had no idea how strange Wisconsin really was. Okay, but they had sightings of a black panther in Wisconsin. The DNR and all these government official places would tell you that pigmentation does not exist in cougars, or aka mountain lions, depending on where you live in the same world. It's the same cat, but we
Yeah.
have them here. They're native to Wisconsin, right?
Hmm.
Why can't there be a black one?
There
Yeah.
can be. Why not?
But they say that what everybody's seeing is not a panther. It's just a overgrown house cat.
no.
There's a big difference between an overgrown house
Right,
cat
right.
and a mountain
But
lion.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, like
This
you
is
would
what
know.
the DNR is telling these people, that shit. Come up with these trail cam pictures or these videos of this thing trancing through their yard. Nope, it doesn't exist. It's just a house cat.
But a lot of things, didn't exist until they did exist.
Right.
Exactly.
Like that fish that was extinct, though. What is it? The coelacanth or
Coelacanth.
something?
Yep.
It doesn't exist. No, it's not real. And then they catch one, and now it's real. Like, it was always
Yeah,
real.
they,
You just
they
didn't
always
know.
thought. Yeah, they always thought the coelacanth was extinct.
Yep.
Just like the horseshoe crab. Now the horseshoe crab. You can trace its lineage back a couple of million years, but it's still around.
Yep.
Well, that's like the documentary that the same people. I like Josh Gates, by the way. So this
Me
is
too.
coming from like Expedition X deal, where he sends his two people out and
Mhm.
they report back to him. And they were looking into the Jersey Devil. Okay. And this guy towards the end of the whole thing, this guy they were talking to was saying that, back in the 17 and 1800s, there were ships coming in from Africa, and there was this giant bat that was stowed away, and they got loose. Well, why can't they reproduce and still exist in that area? Where this Jersey Devil is being seen. I forgot what they call it. It was a hammerhead. It's a giant fruit bat, but
It's a hammerhead.
It's called a hammerhead bat, but it's of the fruit bat species. But it's ugly looking. It's got almost like a horse type head to it.
Yeah, why not? Like, I think that the logical explanations, or like the more natural explanations, sometimes might be the right ones.
Sometimes it could be the wrong ones. We don't know.
Could be.
It's all theories nowadays.
Yeah. That's the thing. All of this is theories. Like, if somebody claims to be an expert, they're lying, because
that's been going around a lot on Facebook today.
Mm-hmm.
Joe has the same theory on that too. Whenever a person in the paranormal field comes forward and says, "Oh, I'm an expert on this. I'm an expert on that. I'm an expert." It's like, you can't be an expert, because
it's all theories.
Everything is theories until proven fact, and then even when they're proven fact, there are other aspects of it that are still theory.
Well, you take those guys like Chad Lewis, Ken Gerhardt, and some of those other guys we see on TV. They don't claim to be experts. They're basically got a degree in cryptozoology. Okay, so that's why they're being taught, to talk about the cryptids.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, Nicole, do you guys just stick with like spirits and stuff, or do you actually look into the cryptids? Because I know upstate New York has been known to have sightings of Bigfoot.
Yeah, it has. We as Full Moon, we pretty much do the ghost thing. We do our public events, we do private cases. We're not opposed to anything else. There's just not really too much that comes our way with that. We know a lot of people who are into Bigfoot, who do the UFOs.
Art's got some good pictures of UFOs.
Yeah.
I actually took a picture myself of one.
Oh, wow.
Actually, I'm not even sure what it is.
It's unidentified.
It's unidentified.
Right.
Well, when I was setting up to take the picture, I was in my car coming home from work. I had a Galaxy S5 at the time. I seen it was really interesting, because it was a really dark, like ominous looking cloud, like rain type cloud, but it was imposed over a white cloud. And you could see the white clouds outlined and everything. And I thought it looked really cool. So I was going to stop and take a picture of this thing. So by the time I found a place I could pull over and stop without having too much problem and get my camera ready, the cloud had dissipated. And all that was left was this one little black spot right in the middle of the white cloud. So I went ahead and snapped the picture. But the weird thing is, when I put the camera on it, you've got the little red square on the cameras.
Yeah.
And that's always trying to pinpoint the object in the background or foreground. And it kept trying to focus on it. That red square kept going on that and focusing on it and trying to focus and bring it in. So I wound up just snapping the picture, not thinking anything of it. So when I got home, I started looking at it, and it looked kind of weird. So I put it on the computer so I could bring it up a little more. I was able to blow it up pretty good size. And it looks like there's something there.
That's cool.
Hey, Virgil. So yeah, but I won't. When I show it to anybody, I don't say. I honestly don't say, "Here, this is a UFO. Look at it." No. I say, "Look at this picture. This is something I took myself, Tell me what you think you see.
Yeah, I like that approach because with EVPs and things like that, if you tell somebody, hey, this says get out, and then they listen, they're going to hear it. But if you say,
Right.
hey, tell me what you hear,
Mm-hmm.
they may hear something different. They may be like, I don't hear anything.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a possibility.
Mark,
That
say hi to Caprice.
Hey,
Hi,
Mike.
Caprice.
Hi.
This is my granddaughter. She likes the paranormal too.
Oh, cool.
She's waiting to go on an investigation with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's been wanting to very badly.
Yeah. You haven't been taking me yet.
Well, you got to talk to that old man sitting next to you there because he can't go out in the cold because his blood is Mountain Dew and it gets slushy when it gets cold.
Calling you out. My son is 15, and he's been bugging me too to bring him out more. He's been on a couple, but
Yeah, honestly, I think if the children, if the kids find an interest in it, I'm wholeheartedly agreeing that they should be brought in to be able to start learning it. Give them that opportunity.
and better to do it the right way than
Right.
sitting out in the field with a Ouija board, calling in demons and stuff.
Do you work with a Ouija?
I don't. I mean, I don't think that they're inherently evil like some people think. I think
They're
anything else, it's a tool, but
Mm-hmm.
it's more the fact that people don't know what the heck they're doing and they start trying to scare each other.
When you work with a Ouija, you gotta and you first start with it. You need one person to be the focus point for the energy flow. If you got both people, then you have a higher chance of something malicious coming through. So you have one person be the focus point, and that person will be the conduit to say. And then when you're finished with your session with it, you always have to say goodbye. You always have to close the portal. Otherwise, it's left open to where you could have energies that you didn't expect come through it.
Yeah, I just see a lot of times, that's people's first kind of foray into the paranormal. It's oh, you're teenagers, you're sitting there in a basement or somewhere, and you're trying, you're already a little spooked. You're trying to scare the crap out of each other.
No.
And then you end up throwing the board and no, we're done. Never closing things off properly. Never.
We never did that. When I grew up, we never did that. We sat in the cemeteries though and told ghost stories or the scary stories, but we never messed with those boards.
We did. Before I knew better.
Yeah, well, you ever do it solo?
No.
What age were you when you started messing with it?
I don't even know. It had to be young. Probably early teens.
I was 8 years old. Mm-hmm. I was sitting cross-legged in the dining room area. Ouija board on my lap, no one else with me, and I was using it.
Wow. That's real young.
Mm-hmm. Because I seen I sat there for a while having a conversation with something, and the last thing it told me is it wanted me to go to hell with it.
Oh, that's pleasant.
So I was like, oh, no, we're done. Goodbye. And then I pushed it aside. So, But then I don't have a fear of them. None of that stuff scares me. I've experienced way too much.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not really scared of much at this point. I say that and, knock on wood. Because I don't go into investigations and into places with that thought that anything negative or evil has any kind of power. And I just don't give it that that part. If something comes through with our equipment that says like, "Oh, evil," or "Go to hell" or "Get out," I'm like, "No, we're not getting out. We're
No.
here for another 3 hours. If you don't want to talk to us, that's fine." But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I get it. I've made myself the focal point many a time on investigations. I actually had 5 pieces of equipment subsequently fail on me because of my actions. As soon as we got to the place, I provoked whatever the hell was there, and it did not like me.
Serves you right.
we
It
don't
did.
provoke.
It served you right. I never laughed so hard afterwards.
Whatever.
I mean, you knew there was something there. I mean,
But the thing is, everybody else had a good night that night.
well, yeah, it was a good night, but you know, you knew something was there.
Yeah, and I made it active.
And
I got it pissed at me and made it active,
I
and
don't
then
think
everybody else got a good night because of it.
I think it was already active
Okay, then I made it more active.
because I think there was just too many people invading its space.
Possibly.
You know, you already had the couple that was living there that owned the place,
Yeah, I know.
right? And then you had Dale's team.
And then us.
Can't even remember how many there was of them. Then there was the 4 of us. So it, you know, it had a reason to be active. I mean, I got sick and I had to walk out real quick and get myself back together to walk back in.
Yeah, I'm the
Yeah.
only one of our on our team who is not a psychic medium or sensitive or anything like that. So when things happen, I'm the one who has to like go check it out because I'm not going to be affected by it. It's
So you're not as sensitive?
I don't think so. I mean,
Interesting.
I like to go with the logic and the things that you can document and see.
Yeah.
So if I am like kind of shut all that off and don't really go by it. Once in a while, I'll be like, no, I don't like this room or something. And when I feel it, they're like, oh, like it's real because Nicole feels it.
Well, that's the thing with me. I'm a sensitive. I can actually sense the energies around me. I can actually see people's auras as well.
Interesting.
Yeah. So.
Like all the time, or only when you like?
I gotta kind of put myself in the right mindset, but I can see auras. It can come in handy at times.
Yeah. I got to the point with it where I can see, like the outline, the kind of like energy outline of people, but no colors or anything.
So you haven't you haven't got to the point where you can see the colors, but you can see the outline of the aura itself.
Yeah.
That's basically what it is.
It's very interesting, when you're listening to like a boring talk or something, and then you just like start seeing like the outline of people because you're kind of zoning out a bit.
That's because you're allowing your mind to open up to a different spectrum at that point, because you're so bored with what you're hearing or listening to that your mind is trying to find other avenues to keep you occupied.
Yeah. So that's about as close as I've gotten.
Lisa is my other half. She's sitting downstairs right now. Okay. Mm-hmm. This is what she said.
You gotta go.
Remember I said my house is built in 1900? So my stairs started creaking, and the only time they creak is when somebody walks on them.
Wow.
It's just you, her, and the dog.
It's just me, her, and our dog Jasmine, and Jasmine lays on the couch.
I was just gonna say Jasmine's probably laying down right next to her.
Yep. Jasmine lays on the couch when any of us are on the couch. She'll get up there and lay on the couch with us, and
Did you ever
So-
do an
and-
investigation in your house or anything like that?
Not yet. I haven't really did anything like that yet. My daughter wants to she wants to do the Ouija board with me.
I sometimes
it's been-
I have the green screen on now, but sometimes when I'm doing like live streams from my office, I'll set up equipment in the background. Like I don't invite it in, I don't like ask it questions and stuff, but I'll set up some equipment just see if it does anything, and a lot of times it'll go off.
That's funny. That's cool too.
Mm-hmm. Like I'm not investigating, not really. I'm catching it doing whatever it's already doing.
Mm-hmm.
Got to set up some stuff in the background there and see, so like a cat ball up on your desk, see if it starts going off randomly.
Well,
while
yeah,
you're-
you never
Yo,
know.
I have enough around here going on that I don't need that stuff because we've got those Google Home things
Mhm.
and Alexa,
I got a couple of Alexas.
and those damn things will go off for no reason at all. It can be totally quiet, and they just go off.
Mm-hmm.
Those
Oh, the one in our dining room does that.
Weird shit too will come out of their mouths.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
I've already had. Okay, we've only been in the house just under 2 years. I bought the house in 22. Yeah, April 22.
You've been 2
Uh,
years already? Wow.
Yeah. So I've only been here about 2 years. I got the Alexa hooked up in the dining room, and she's on this curio thing that's built into the side of the into the wall, and we there's like been 3 or 4 times already, not said a word to her, didn't even say hey Alexa or anything. All of a sudden she'd go off and start talking about weird crap, stupid things I didn't even ask.
Wow. Those things are creepy anyway because they're always listening to you. They don't need any paranormal activity to be spooky.
Yeah.
Hmm. It's like when you just think about something and then like you open up Facebook and there's an ad for it. It's like I didn't even say it out loud. How do you know?
It's called the algorithm.
Mhm.
Well, we're getting to that hour mark.
Yeah, we're already past the hour, so
So we're gonna be gone for 2 weeks and do some revamping, and then we'll be back. So what do you
Thanks for
got coming up? You got something you want to come up? Something you want to promote before we leave?
Yeah, so we have later this month, we have an overnight investigation at the Shanley Hotel in Napanock. In April, we are doing the Columns Museum in Milford with our guest is Brian Cano from The Haunted Collector, from Paranormal
Cool.
Caught on Camera. He's our guest investigator. And in May, we have a gallery reading and investigation at a historic home that's been converted into an office in Montclair, New Jersey. So those should be fun. That's all that information is on our Facebook page, Full Moon Paranormal. You can find us on all social medias, Full Moon Paranormal. Look for the fairy. That's us.
cool.
Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Oh, thanks for coming in and joining us.
All right, you're out of here. Stay safe. Remember, anything's possible.